Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Monday, October 7th, 2024. The big news at the moment in the United States, the Hurricane Milton expected to make landfall on Florida, which recently got hit very hard by Hurricane Helene. And it's supposed to make landfall Wednesday. They were projecting on Saturday that it would be a Category 3 storm, but today, October 7th, it's exploded into a Category 5. And but again, you just follow the terminology of weather for now more than a decade. Again, we've been documenting this since I showed up here. Nuclear storms has been terminology in the news. A nuclear storm, a bomb cyclone, a targeted storm system. These are all terminology that have been used numerous times in the headlines. And I suppose the average American is just way too busy with work and school and entertainment and shopping to really document the redundancy. But that's what I've been doing for the last 11 years, for the sake of trying to get people with the program. Again, all of this terminology is militaristic, and it's not an accident. This is the nation, the United States of America, that spent nearly 50 years detonating big bombs way up high in the sky for the purpose of weather experimentation. I mean, it just annoys me that all of this stuff's part of the historical record. It was Bill Clinton who ended the essentially the underground and high up in the altitude, supposedly ended when he came into office in '93, who supposedly ended these programs that had existed since the '40s. So from the 1940s, Manhattan Project time, up through 1993, we're detonating big bombs way up high in the sky, also underground. And it was Bill Clinton who brought that program to an end. What were they researching? Again, so many people, because they're so wrapped up in the flag, can't understand that this nation's been hijacked and is controlled by people who don't have our best interests at heart. What they care about is power and control. And it's been said 1,000 times before I got here. All wars are bankers' wars, and weather warfare is a real form of warfare that's been admitted to for the better part of the last century. Again, the Royal Air Force admitted to weather warfare in 1952. The U.S. military admitted to weather warfare in Vietnam in the 60s. Dubai talks about the cloud seeding program they used to bring rainfall to that arid part of the world. China, before they just had the Olympics not that long ago, talked about using cloud seeding to bring snow for the winter games there. And then people sit here and act like all of this is a mystery or just could only be some conspiracy theory. Again, JFK gave his weather control speech to the United Nations September 25th, 1961, about the future of weather control. Of course, this year, Hurricane Helene formed on that date. The same day there was a crazy windstorm out west, up where I live in the Pacific Northwest. If you missed my work on Hurricane Helene, go back and revisit that. And if you've missed my work on weather warfare for the better part of the last decade, a lot of it's still archived in my websites, but my YouTube channel has been deleted 20 some times, so much has been taken down. But again, let's talk about why Category 5 Milton happened today when it exploded into this magnitude of a hurricane. All right. Again, you learn the Kabbalistic system of encoding numbers into words. You see how this system is used right alongside pretty much everything that's put in the mainstream media every single day. Thank you again, Paula the Kitchen Butch. I'm gonna have to look up Project Cirrus. Remind me. I'm gonna check that out. That's a new one to me. But again, this Kabbalistic system of encoding numbers into words, you learn it and you see how perfect the weather warfare is. You see how undeniably perfect it is. So again, this is a military thing, and America is not a sovereign nation. It is controlled more and more by foreign interests as we get more and more in debt to foreign entities. But the system is very simple. It's running the alphabetic order A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, F is 6, up to Z, the 26th letter. It's also running the alphabetic order in reverse. So Z is 1 back to A is 26. Today, the storm has exploded into a category 5. I mean, did they blow up some bomb? Is it the energy? What kind of weapons did they research? What did they figure out in the 50 years of testing of detonating things way up high in the atmosphere? What did they figure out? To be like, oh, maybe they figured out nothing. Okay. Yeah, maybe. But they did it for 50 years. And why is it so perfect like this all the time? Anyway, it's 10-7. It's 10-7 like military's 107. Remember when we invaded Afghanistan after 9/11? Remember a lot of energy turned those buildings to dust as they crumbled to the ground, and there was a hurricane system out in the Atlantic off the coast of New York that day? If you don't know about that, look that up, Hurricane Aaron. They're saying this system is going to make landfall on 10/9, October 9th, 2 days from today, a Wednesday. Remember, Wednesday is the one day of the week that equals 44, like HARP. That's that military technology that has the power to influence storms, which was patented on a date with 44 numerology. But just to remind you about this storm making landfall on October 9th, it's Milton, right? And you know what I thought of right away when I heard the name Milton? They say the father of disaster capitalism is Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman. And Naomi Klein wrote a book more than a decade ago now about disaster capitalism and talking about Milton Friedman and how disaster capitalism was on full display after Katrina hit, the Louisiana region. And keep in mind, that was 19 years ago now, like how the moon's on a 19-year cycle and these psychopaths love to work in the 19-year patterns. But Milton's 83. And October 9th, the day it's supposed to make landfall, is the day leaving 83 days left in the year. And again, if you're new here, the 4 base ciphers of the English language. The alphabetic order with numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You can see how flood, earth, and Enlil are nearly perfect in all ciphers. And again, Enlil is the Babylonian god of storms and flooding. The Kabbalah system goes back to Babylon. There's constantly jokes with Babylon, like the Tower of Babel. That story ends in Genesis 11:9. The towers that divide the world. After 9/11, the world very much divided. And the majority of the world writes that date, 11th of September, 11/9, like Genesis 11:9. Again, in Genesis 8:3, the biblical flood ends, 8:3. And remember, God regrets making mankind in Genesis 6:6. They were just talking about in the news how there was a Hurricane Helene exactly 66 years to the day of Hurricane Helene this year, like Genesis 6:6. Biblical equates to 58. The last Hurricane Helene was in 58. All of these things are sick, dark, demented jokes. And how is it possible? Again, who gave us the Bible that's numbered as it is? Oh, that's right, the Catholic Church. When was the first act of weather warfare admitted to? Oh, that's right, August 15th, 1952. On the Jesuit order's birthday, who served the Roman Catholic Church, who are a military order, who are technologically sophisticated. If you missed it, Helene also had the 83 connection, like the name of the town that got wiped out in the Carolinas, and the storm formed 83 days before the Pope's birthday. That was Hurricane Helene, which formed September 25th. Again, the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech. 83 days before the Pope's birthday, that was. The Pope's birthday is December 17th. The word Pope equals 52 as well. Like flood, like earth, like Enlil, like devil, like hurricane. Like how I told you, as soon as Maui burned up, synced up with The Rock's trailer release of Moana, where he's Maui, the fire god. Again, we were talking about that over a year ago. I said, just wait until The Rock turns 52 on May 2nd, 2024. The former Miami Hurricane football player. I said, just wait. They're going to sync up a very horrible hurricane with him. And remember, that hurricane formed 146 days after his birthday, Hurricane Helene 146. If you missed all my work on that, go back and check it out. It connects with the Scorpions, the band that has the song Rock You Like a Hurricane. Their singer's birthday is the 146th day of the year. It syncs up with The Rock being the Scorpion King. And we talked about, again, so far this year with The Rock, we're 2 for 2 on predictions. We nailed the hurricane prediction, sadly. And we said why there was going to be an earthquake synced up with him in his San Andreas movie on August 6th in California. And it was in Bakersfield of 5.2. And now the next date that it points to from The Rock for an earthquake in California is October 23rd, the first day of Scorpio, when he was the Scorpion King. If you missed that video, I put that out last week. All of this stuff is not an accident. It's not Mother Nature. It's disaster capitalism. It's the downfall of America. Again, Barack Obama, the first film he produces is about the end of America. Leave the World Behind, which equals 192, where at the end of the film, you see the name Commodus on the wall of a billionaire's bunker when Commodus died in the year 192 at the time of the fall of Rome. We're the new Rome. Things are a lot more sophisticated now. They literally control the weather. And again, Lyndon Johnson let us know this was the case too when he spoke at Holy Cross and said, who controls the weather controls the world. But anyway, Milton now expected to impact Florida on the day leaving 83 days left in the year on 10/9. Weather and military. If I remember right, I haven't seen him use the terminology for a while. For a couple of years, they couldn't stop using it. I think bomb cyclone is also 109, if I remember right. Yeah, it is. For a while, they kept saying, oh, bomb cyclone. Oh, yeah, it doesn't sound militaristic. Okay. Again, if you're new here, the base ciphers of the language aligned to the Jesuits. You see how Milton equals 83. Again, it's making landfall on the day leaving 83 days left in the year. Milton, when you use numerology, is 29. Today, the day it becomes a category 5 is 29 days before the election. And this is going to be used in the politics. Trump's going to be pointing the finger at Kamala and Joe, who have an inadequate response. And for all of you guys who want to vote Republican because they're supposedly the responsible party when storms hit, let me just take you back to Katrina. End of the debate. 79 is interesting because Society of Jesus is 79, and I imagine Milton will be impacting the United States for a number of days. So 4 days after it makes landfall on the U.S. will be October 13th, the day leaving 79 days left in the year. So we'll see what they do with that. And then the day it makes landfall, Milton, that's 34 days before the Superior General's birthday, who's the leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa, born November 12th. And that also means that when the storm makes landfall, remember from the Superior General's birthday, November 12th, to the Pope's birthday, December 17th, is 35 days later, which is interesting because Catholics, 35, like Jesuitism, big number with the church, RIP to the 35th president, killed on I-35, the first Catholic JFK. But the storm's making landfall 69 days before the Pope's birthday. Remember the overlap with weather control and the Jesuit order. 177, 69, 201. Remember the crazy flood incident in Dubai earlier this year? They said the worst flood in 75 years of recorded records there. And we were talking about that day, how it was 201 days before September 25th, the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech. When Lyndon Johnson said at Jesuit Holy Cross, who controls the weather controls the world, that was 201 days after JFK was assassinated, who again gave the speech about the future of weather control. And go back and read what he said. It wasn't about destroying the world with weather control. It was about using it to make sure there's no more famines, using it for the benefit of humanity. And again, that's why technology is a double-edged sword. You see that with Jesuit-controlled Google. They now censor information horribly. They make it hard to search for what you're looking for. They want to feed you the mainstream facts. They want to put a label on everything that goes against mainstream consensus, when all mainstream consensus is nonstop brainwashing and misinformation. But again, just look at the perfect overlap with the Jesuit order and weather control. And again, 69 days before the Pope's birthday, this time Milton will make landfall. And for the record, again, all things going back to the church, Catholic Church 69, New World Order 69. Again, the Jesuits pride themselves on being the driving force of globalization. You see how the New World Order is 177, like the Jesuit Order too. Again, the Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt. Of course, he called it Order of Illuminati. 201, like the Jesuit Order, dies 201 days after the anniversary of the Order's establishment. We'll come back to that as we talk about some of the other stuff buzzing in the news too. But I wanted to start right here with Hurricane Milton becoming a Category 5 again on 10/7 before it makes landfall on 10/9. Yeah, Milton Bradley, that could be a joke too. But I really do think this is a tribute to Milton Friedman, the father of disaster capitalism. I think that's the big Milton that's most relevant. Okay, so I think those are the main point. Well, here, this thing about the shock. Oh yeah, but I almost forgot to tell you guys this. The whole thing about Milton Friedman, I almost forgot this. You see how Milton Friedman has the 81 and 225? I mean, the 153 and 72 stands out too because Jesuit Order is 153 and 72. But the 225 and 81. Look at Hurricane Milton. 81 and 225. Naomi Klein, who wrote that book, is 54 years old right now, which is interesting. Jesuit Orders 54 and 153 and 72. And actually, look at even the title of her book, actually. I mean, Naomi Klein seems all right to me, but I am curious about the title of her book. Maybe the publisher did it. The Shock Doctrine, The Rise of Disaster Capitalism, 201 and 258, just like Order of Illuminati. You know, you guys all know William Henry Gates, right? You remember when his dad died shortly after Event 201 on the 258th day of the year. I'm sure you remember that. That was like right after my book came out, Number Games. His dad was dead days later. And if you just take the first part of the title of that book, The Shock Doctrine, it's interesting because just alone the Shock Doctrine's 177, like the Jesuit Order, 78 and 84, like Jesuit. Remember, a 78-year-old Trump just made his return to Butler 84 days after the biggest hoax of the year at age 78. Not far from 84, Pennsylvania, named after Grover Cleveland, who won the election in 1884. And again, Trump's trying to become the nation's second Grover Cleveland. Talking about these things for a long time now. Had his 2016 convention in Cleveland. But yeah, Naomi's 54 at the time of Hurricane Milton, which looks like it can really put a hurting on after Hurricane Helene. So anyway, what are the odds? Speaking of what are the odds, did you guys know that the guy who wrote the Notebook, he just put out a book called Counting Miracles on September 24, 2024, one day before Helene formed? And in the book, it goes on, Jasper had barely settled into his new job. However, when his life was upended again in September, only a month after Audrey had left, Hurricane Helene unleashed massive rainfall in a nearby creek in Asheboro, quickly rose to dangerous levels. Fortunately or unfortunately, as the case may be, Jasper was at his house in town, not the cabin, when it began to flood. So Asheboro becomes one of the hardest hit places from the Hurricane Helene and just the weather system period, because it poured rain there for 3 days from September 25th to 27th. But this book came out one day before the rain began to fall on the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech. And we've seen this a million times, just the predictive programming. We talked about things like this with the Maui fire last year. We've talked about things like this with so many things. The Oklahoma City bombing, where the brother of the governor, Keating, put out the book, The Final Jihad, where there's a Tim McVeigh in the book. And the same building blown up with a truck full of explosives and planes hijacked and flown into towers in New York. And imagine if we had a real news media that was constantly investigating and putting this kind of information out to the people and saying, listen, what do we do here, America? It looks like something's going on. It looks like our politicians, our elected officials might be part of something more. But you don't hear anything like this. All you hear is just the mainstream BS. Anytime something conspiratorial comes up, it's dismissed. Oh, online conspiracy theories. That's why you should tune in here to Fox tonight, where you'll get the unbiased truth. It's like, yeah, okay. More like you get your brains washed and you just stay in ignorance mode. What else is interesting is from this author's birthday. Notice he's 58 years old, right? He's 58 as he references Hurricane Helene. The last time there was a Hurricane Helene was in 1958. So he's 58 years old at the time of this. And remember, 58 is not an arbitrary number. Again, secret society equals 58, like Rosicrucian, like Freemasonry, like King James, the Rosicrucian and Freemason, died unexpectedly at age 58. Remember, LeBron won on the real King James's birthday, the year that Trump had his convention there in his stadium right after, and then went on to win the 58th election after announcing from the 58-story Trump Tower. And let's not forget that purple rain equals 58, and how Prince died 201 days before the election after Vanity, his girlfriend from the time of Purple Rain, died the day of the 58th Grammys. Again, this 58 is a massive number. So this author's 58 at the time this book comes out, counting miracles. But I was going to say that from his birthday, New Year's Eve, to the storm farming was the 269 days later. That's the 57th prime number. United Nations equals 57. Again, the storm formed on the anniversary of JFK speaking to the United Nations about the future of weather control. Another word that equals 57 is Rome. Another one is federal, like the federal cities where the Jesuits set up camp, and it used to be called Rome on the Potomac. Another 57 is conspiracy. All right, but Asheboro, who got absolutely devastated with flooding. You see how it's on the 79th meridian west? Okay, look at Hurricane Helene, right? Remember, 146. It formed 146 days after the Rock's birthday, the former Miami hurricane. Notice how hurricane alone is also 146 and 52. Again, it formed 146 days after the Rock's 52nd birthday. Keep in mind the Miami Hurricanes had a big win Friday night on the September 27th, the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by Rome, as Helene was impacting Florida and the eastern seaboard there. But the quarterback of Miami, his birthday is the 146th day of the year. His name, Cameron Ward, equals 52. And by the way, that's also the name of a former goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes in the NHL, whose season's about to get underway. But again, we talked about how Scorpions equals 52, and their singer for Rock You Like a Hurricane, his birthday is the 146th day of the year, the same day as Cameron Ward, and how the hurricane was created 239 days after the anniversary of that song coming out, which is the 52nd prime, and how these same numbers come together all the time. But September 25th, the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech, is also the day leaving 97 days left in the year, and the hurricane also formed 56 days before Biden's birthday, reminding us of the Astros winning their first World Series in their 56th season, the year that Harvey flooded Texas on the 239th day of the year, the 52nd prime, plus it was 52 date numerology, plus it was the anniversary of Stevie Ray Vaughan's death, who had the best-selling album Texas Flood. And again, Matt Harvey was the first pitcher to pitch in Houston 52 days before the World Series start that year. And again, Vice News still has their hit piece up on me from 2017, making fun of the dead-on prediction that the Astros would beat the Dodgers in the World Series, because again, while Texas was flooded, LA was on fire, all-weather warfare. It was the Latuna fires out in LA. But again, Hurricane Helene, the 146, that it was 83 days before the Pope's birthday. It formed on 25/9, and then it ended up wasting Asheboro, North Carolina on the day, or on the 79th meridian west. Okay. And again, you can see the coordinates are also the 35th parallel, and big Catholic Jesuit number as well. Society of Jesus also equals 79. The Roman name for Jesus, Jesus, equals 35. Like Christmas Day, 1225. 1225 has a square root of 35. The word eye equals 35, like Genesis 3:5 is about the eyes of God. And to the occult, the sun is the eye of God. That's why when it's out, it's light. And when it's gone, it's dark, like when you close your eyes. But anyway, look at Ashboro, 83, right? Going with the storm, or again, forming 83 days before the Pope's birthday. Now, keep in mind, football equals 83. It became a Category 4 as NFL Week 4 kicked off. Hold on, I got to respond to Sweet Lady. All right. But yeah, again, just Genesis 8:3 about the biblical flood. That's where it ends. The flood ends after 150 days. Keep in mind the word Illuminati is 150. And they did refer to this as a biblical flood. We see that a lot. I mean, it's nothing new. And they're always working from the same biblical playbook, using the verse numbers for the rituals. But the biblical flood that impacted the Carolinas, again, formed 66 years to the day. Like Genesis 6:6 is where God regrets making mankind and then decides to wash humanity away with a flood. And again, I mean, September 27th is very important to the Jesuits because that's the day in history they are recognized by the Roman Catholic Church, the day leaving 95 days left in the year with the original mission of countering the 95 Theses. Look at when the flooding went from the anniversary of JFK's weather control speech to the big Jesuit day, when the first act of weather warfare was admitted to on August 15th, 1952. That's the day the Jesuits were created in history in Paris, France. August 15th and September 27th, very big Jesuit days. July 31st, another one, the anniversary of their leader dying. April 19th, another one, the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola becoming the first superior general of the Jesuits. April 19th, from the Revolutionary War to a million tragedies across the world, including Waco and Oklahoma City, including just the other year in 2020, when Canada lost their gun rights because the guy dressed up as a Mountie with a supposed stolen Mountie car driving up and down Route 102 shooting people. When Art of War equals 102, the Jesuit text credited to a man there's no proof he ever existed. Sun Tzu, when the Jesuit orders logos the sun. So yeah, here was the crazy rainfall on those very specific dates. Aftermath, a lot of people's property completely destroyed and washed away. And let me go back and read a little bit more of this page from this guy's book, because this is the mockery too. So again, this book came out one day before Hurricane Helene formed. Let me just read everything that's on this page right here from this screenshot that's gone viral. Hurricane Helene unleashed massive rainfall in a nearby creek in Ashboro quickly rose to dangerous levels. Fortunately or unfortunately, as the case may be, Jasper was at his house in town, not the cabin, when it began to flood. He pushed through water that soon reached his waist, gathering up photographs from the mantle, his father's Bible, and as many of the carvings they'd made together as he could carry, hauling it all to his truck, which he'd parked on higher ground just in case as the storm continued to rage. By the way, if something like that is coming to your town, you got to really have your thinking cap on. What can you do to mitigate the damage? Finding that high spot in town and moving your vehicle to, or just getting out of town if you can, is, again, sadly, because the world we live in, this is the kind of way you need to start to think. Like, again, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, because it could be your town next, as we've been talking about over and over redundantly for all these years, that this continues to happen in different parts of the country and the world. He parked on higher ground just in case. As the storm continued to rage, a lobley, I don't know that terminology, in the yard snapped and crashed through the roof. A loblolly, must be a kind of tree. Sorry, a loblolly, got to be a kind of tree. Snapped and crashed through the roof. Days later, after the water finally receded and hot weather returned, mold began growing on the walls and the floors, ruining pretty much everything in the house that the storm hadn't. Like his neighbors and others in town, Jasper contacted his insurance company. He wasn't worried. Like the other bills, he'd continued to pay the premiums after his father had passed, but when he finally met with the claims adjuster, Jasper discovered that buried in the policy was an exclusion for damage caused by flooding. The adjuster pointed out the section and read the words aloud, emphasizing the point. The policy would, however, pay for the roof damage. And you guys, this is the way insurance is. Like you're signing up for insurance and you're asking the right questions. You think, okay, I'm covered for this. Oh, so if something happens to this, I'm covered up to this amount. But then there's so much print in all these documents, and we all know we never read them all. We just sign because we got to sign up for the insurance. And, when I had a car crash through two walls of my house, Christmas Eve 2016, and yes, that is for the work I do, my insurance was trying to tell me that because my house was built in, I can't remember what year it was now, it was like right around the early 1960s. They were trying to tell me that because of that, they were showing me the fine print in my policy that they take a percentage, an adjustment for whatever quote I get for the damage, and then they only have to pay that percentage of the repair because the home was built in 60. When they were telling me that I bought this insurance policy that covered up to, like at the time, $300,000 if the structure had to be rebuilt. But now I have holes in two walls of my house, and they're saying, well, yeah, we get that you got three different quotes, and the lowest is, I forget what it was now, 25,000, and the most was 50,000, and the median was 40, but we can only pay you this percentage of those because of the age of your home. And I was just like, okay, they're trying to pay me like, I can't remember I had to fight with them for so many months before I got them to pay for all but 10,000 of, I believe, the lowest bid. And it just like I'd never made a claim. I'm paying my bills, and now I have a problem, and now they're trying to pay. Initially they wanted to write like a $3,000 check. Like $3,000, like what? That's a recap for what I pay you almost every year in premiums and fees. It's just. But yeah, and again, you guys, I mean, it's all part of one big scam. And just to remind you guys, it is all part of one big scam. They're part of your rigged NFL. Remember when the State Farm athlete went and won the Super Bowl in the 103rd season in State Farm Arena? 103rd season comes down to the State Farm Arena, where Patrick Mahomes, who does all the State Farm ads, walks into the game 10-3 in the postseason, exits 11-3 like Eagles is 1-3. And that was a nice payout for us because we had that all year from before the season began. But again, all these things are part of this Kabbalistic system, manipulating us, screwing us. And you see, I mean, you all heard the stories earlier this year about how Florida was backing out, not covering people's insurance. Again, you guys, because we're living out a planned agenda. It was written in Counting Miracles by Catholic-educated Nicholas Sparks, who went to Notre Dame. And you know what? Hey, Notre Dame, right? Notre Dame, 95. Just like how the day the rain stopped in Asheboro was the day leaving 95 days left in the year. September 27th. Again, the anniversary of the Jesuits being recognized by Rome to stop Martin Luther and the 95 Theses. Not to be confused with Martin Luther King Jr., who got smoked on the 95th day of the year. 201 days before the nation's first major gun control legislation. Like how when Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses, the Jesuits were created 201 months later. No, all this stuff's a major FU. And the sad thing is, if I go out and survey America, they all know about the Notebook. Oh, yeah, we love the Notebook. We know everything about the Notebook. What do you know about weather warfare? Oh, it sounds like some kind of conspiracy theory. And that's why it all does go back to Rome. They just knew you give people bread and circus, you got them. Just give them the bread and circus. It's all the plebs need. They got the bread and the circus. We got them by the short hairs. So. All right. The Supreme Court right now, remind me, how many people are members of the 9-member Supreme Court that aren't Jesuit educated? And I'm pretty sure there's only one. Pretty sure it's the token black lady who they added with the last name Jackson right before they overturned Roe versus Wade with Dobbs Jackson, and then said black women will be the most impacted. And remember, they They swore her in 201 days from her birthday, and Breyer announced he was stepping down 201 days from his birthday. And again, the Jesuit Order 201, and 8 of the 9 members are Jesuit educated. And so anyway, the Supreme Court weighed in on R. Kelly's appeal of his sex crimes conviction today. You think it was a Jesuit ritual? Look at this. What's the Jesuit motto? Isus hominum salvator, which equals 274 and 85. I remember we just saw Diddy go down at 54 like R. Kelly. Jesuit order also equals 54 like Son. Again, the Catholic Church has celebrated the Son in the Sky's birthday since 274 AD on 12/25, what we call Christmas Day. Diddy goes down at 54 like R. Kelly. Son equals 54, again, like Jesuit order. Same Jesuit lawyer after both of them. And today also leaves 85 days left in the year. Isus hominum salvator, 274 with the alphabetic order, 85 with numerology applied. And look at his birthday too, 1/8. It's like the abbreviation for Isus hominum salvator is IHS, which equals 18, forwards and backwards. IHS, 18, forwards and backwards. The word son's got that 18. In Judaism, 18 is the meaning of life. After you experience 18 trips around the sun, they say you're an adult. Most people are in America, I don't think, ever reach adulthood. Most of the guys my age are wearing comic book shirts and sports team shirts and more worried about games and video games and the latest Marvel series. When's another Star Wars coming out? R.I.P. Darth Vader's voice. But they're more concerned about these things than what's actually going on. And I know a lot of the people that come through and leave their little trollish comments, I just know that those are the same people that are like, oh, just passing by to troll before I go play some more Call of Duty. I'm not up for the real Call of Duty, but I'm going to play some Call of Duty tonight. I just remember when I used to teach in South Seattle, it seemed like every other parent who'd make it into the classroom maybe once a year to check in on what was going on in their child, they'd show up in a Call of Duty shirt. I was just like, is this all everybody does now? Is just play video games? Anyway. The very Jesuit Supreme Court. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, you guys. Oh, by the way, remember when you run it in reverse, Isus hominum salvator equates to 266. We're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, who's the 266th Pope in the history of the Church. And he did speak in the federal city where the Supreme Court is. September 23rd, 2015, the 266th day of the year. But the appeal was for federal sex crimes, which also equates to 266. And funny enough, I remember R. Kelly was sentenced to prison on September 27th, back in 2021. From that day to this is 158 weeks later. And it kind of reminds me of August 15th, the Jesuit order's birthday. That day can be written 15/8, like 158. Of course, Freemasonry also equals 158. And the Jesuits created modern Freemasonry, and DC's the Jesuit Masonic city. But yeah, nothing but Jesuit rituals over and over. Diddy was just arrested 274 days after his 54th birthday. All right. Speaking of those Jesuits, we've talked about all of the 87 business this year in the time of the 87-year-old Pope, the first Jesuit, when Ignatius of Loyola equals 87. That's the founder of the Jesuits. So they're raising money for this young TikTok star who died for unknown. Like you read every story, there's like no explanation of anything, but like in the second paragraph is the link to where you can donate money. It's like, okay, is the only point of this news story to raise money for somebody who died in the world? I mean, I don't want to sound rude, but tons of people die every day, right? And they don't get national and international headlines about them where it says, this young TikTok star died at 25. No cause of death. If you would like to donate, here's the GoFundMe. So like, what kind of story is this? I want to know how a 25-year-old TikTok sensation just dropped dead. That's what I want to know. I'm wondering if she died September 27th. The news broke yesterday but I noticed her last upload to TikTok, and it seemed like she was constantly uploading. I just noticed her last upload was September 26th. So I thought, last upload on September 26th. Next day is the big Jesuit day. I couldn't find any. Maybe it is out there if you search harder. I was trying to find what day she died. I was trying to find what day her birthday is. But look, October 6th is the day, leaving 86 days left in the year, right? All the headlines are about her being a TikTok star. TikTok is 86. We've talked about this many a times. Jesuits, the plural is 86. Don't forget it. Blood sacrifice and human sacrifice is 86. You could also say October 6th, if you count that day through December 31st, those are the last 87 days of the year. So October 6th is the first of the last 87 days left in the year. It leaves 86 days that come after it. Her name, Taylor Rousseau, she got married. Apparently, I saw that she got married 404 days before this happened, which is interesting. That's the number of verses in Revelation, the end of the book. But 404 is also an internet air code. She's an internet star, but Taylor Rousseau, her maiden name, before she got married to this guy named Griggs, who has 106 posts on his social media as he announces his wife is dead on 10/6. But Taylor Rousseau is 87 and dead at 25. Remember, that's a death number. Her husband is Cameron Grigg. They're a young couple. He doesn't have nearly the following that she had, but I just thought, we see this a lot with these social medias. We're like, look at the post count compared to what the numbers are on the story. The guy with 106 posts announced on 10/6 his wife's dead. And his name has interesting gematria, 79 like Society of Jesus, but her TikTok channel, which had over 1 million followers, people just love their blonde girls. Anyway, her TikTok channel, it's Taylor Rousseau. Notice the numbers, 258 and 201, right? Like Order of Illuminati, 258 and 201. Taylor Rousseau, 69 and 201, like the Jesuit order. The 69 also goes with Illuminati. Her maiden name, Taylor Rousseau Grigg, 258. Again, like her channel name, like Order of Illuminati. And remember what's interesting about 258? If you write out number of the beast, it's 258. And the reason that's so interesting is because obviously number of the beast is 666, right? There's that 87 as well, now that I think about it. But 666 is the number of the beast. The square root of 666 is 25.8, like 258. But yeah, her maiden name is a lot like her channel name. And she died exactly 42 weeks after the Pope's birthday at 25. Pope's 25, Jesuit's 42. Again, he's 87. We've seen a lot of death connected to 87 this year. I've never talked about 87 and death anywhere near as much as I have this year. And she also died I don't know exactly what day she died because I couldn't find that in any of the stories, but the day that the death was announced, October 6th, the day leaving 86 days left there, that day is also 72 days before the Pope's birthday. Remember, Jesuit order is 72. It's like, remember, 54 forward, 72 in reverse. Sun equals 54. It moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. Diddy goes down at 54. His father was murdered at age 72. On and on and on. But 72 days before the Pope's birthday, he became the first Jesuit Pope on the 72nd day of the year, back on March 13, 2013. Again, his name has the 201 and 111 connection, coming back to her channel name. It's Taylor Rousseau, 201 and 111. But yeah, so RIP to this young woman if she really is dead, unless it's some kind of ruse to raise money, because again, there's no substance to any of the articles written about her death. It's just that she's dead and here's where you can donate money. And again, the thing that frustrates me is when I was browsing her channel, there's not much substance to it. I mean, she's fairly attractive. She seems to also paint herself orange or goes to the tanning booth and gets that orange skin. but I'm sure a lot of guys find her very attractive. She has a nice body. When she does herself up, paints herself with the extra makeup, she does looks pretty attractive in some of her videos. But it's just like, this is what the world does with the internet. They sit here and they jerk off and they watch porn all day, and then they go on TikToks and fantasize about girls that are prettier than their girlfriend. And it's like, I'm not going to say that I've never been on the internet watching porn, jerking off, or I haven't spent a lot of time on girls like, oh, she's a pretty girl. I mean, go meet some pretty girls out in the world. But the internet is a thing that should be used. And I mean, a lot of us do use it this way, to share information and knowledge and overcome the evil agendas that are on top of humanity. And again, I mean, some of these channels that are I'm sure there's plenty of girls that are even prettier than her that have like 1,000 subscribers, and they wonder what they're doing wrong. You're probably not doing anything wrong. It's, again, a lot of these people are into that. They're born into things that you just weren't born into, and like all things good and bad. You're not getting the attention, but you know what? You're also not ended up in the headlines just dead for unknown reasons at 25 either. As a TikTok star announced dead on the day, leaving 86 days left in the year. So, but yeah, it is sad for all kinds of reasons. All right, Madonna's brother. Did you see this one? Dead at 63. Do you know what day this guy's birthday is? When I say 63, is there like one thing that comes in your mind? If you watched last night's video, I'm sure something's coming to your mind just based on. By the way, this was in the news yesterday. The day leaving 86 days left in the year. Anniversary of the Van Halen guitar player dying by the numbers on that day. Remember, guitar's also 86. One of the Van Halen brothers died on this day years ago. And Van Halen invented the tapping sound. Tapping's 106, like 10-6. But anyhow, this year it's Madonna's brother, announced dead on this day. His birthday is the anniversary of JFK being killed. And, as this is announced, you have Sunday night football between the Steelers and Dallas. And if you look it up, the first time the Steelers and Dallas Cowboys, or the Pittsburgh Steelers and Dallas Cowboys, the first time they ever played each other was 1960, the same year he was born, the year JFK was elected, and the score of that game was 35-28, 63 points. Last night, the game was delayed due to weather. JFK gave the weather control speech, but the halftime score was 6-3. 6-3. And before the game in the morning, when we went over, the National Fix League, putting out our picks, which were mostly all good again, we talked about the significance of their first ever meeting being in 1960 and 63 points being scored in that game. And the Steelers won with 35, exactly 165 weeks before JFK was killed on I-35 as number 35. Again, Scottish Rite equals 165. JFK was killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason. American football is credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. Donald Trump, keep in mind, had just returned to Butler outside of Pittsburgh. Remember, the first assassination scare was 45 days after JFK's birthday anniversary, when he's number 45, and now he's partnered with RFK Jr., who officially got in the race on April 5th, 4-5, 2023. But remember, Trump's born on the 165th day of the year. So that's why we thought they were going to somehow pay tribute in the game last night to the JFK assassination. 6-3 at halftime. By the end of the game, Justin Fields lost and fell to 13-30. Dallas 13, Cowboys 30. Cowboys beat the Steelers in Super Bowl 30. But Tomlin also got his 102nd loss, like Cowboys is 102. But anyway, look at this. It goes beyond this, beyond him having the November 22nd birthday and being born at the same time JFK was elected. He died 49 days before his birthday and 49 days after Madonna's birthday. Again, Dallas equals 49. JFK dead in Dallas. And remember, 49 is the 33rd composite number. Scottish equals 49. The highest degree of the Scottish Rite is 33. Of course, Masonry is 33. Kennedy's got that 33. Federal, secrecy, order. But 49 days after Madonna's birthday, and again, 49 days for his. Well, I mean, what are the odds of these things? And remember, Madonna, the day after Trump became president back in 2017, she was the big headline on January 21st, 2017. She said she wanted to blow up the White House with Donald Trump in it, which is interesting because the election's on November 5th this year, Guy Fawkes Day, which is when the Jesuits tried to blow up King James with fireworks, the gunpowder plot. And she's 66 years old right now. Hold on, I got a call from Sweet Lady. 1 second. 1 second, I got to take a Sweet Lady call. All right, I got to hurry up and finish up. Sweet Lady needs me to do something, but again, she loses her family at 66. You know, it's a female number. It's associated with the feminine. Woman 66. Obviously, Madonna, big female star on the world stage. That they said that her brother died from cancer. We see this all the time, and people don't question it because it is such a common form of death. But just remember, cancer has that 44 connection. JFK was number 35, but the 44th term president, sworn in at the 44th U.S. presidential inauguration. Cancer is also 118, number associated with death. Dallas, Texas has that 118 connection. When Trump won in 2016, the election was on November 8th, 118. After having his convention in Cleveland as he tries to become the nation's second Grover Cleveland. Oh, yeah, yeah. And just about the whole parallel with Trump. Her brother is dead the day before the news. Again, they announced it on the day, leaving 86 days left in the year. But, or excuse me, her brother died 2 days before, October 4th, the day leaving 88 days left in the year. Just all these parallels going on with Trump and the Kennedys. And then Madonna, who wanted to blow up Donald Trump. And that was the big headline, January 21st, 2017. A lot of 88 business with Trump. And remember, in light of her brother dying on the day, leaving 88 days left in the year, I'll remind you, poison equals 88. And if you write out arsenic poisoning, it's also 88. And that's how the Jesuits are known for killing people. It's also 187, the homicide code, Society of Jesus. The formal title of the Jesuits is 187. It's been 187 years since Grover Cleveland was born. Trump and the Pope's birthdays are a span of 187 days apart. And look into the 33-day Pope. The 33-day Pope, he went to bed on the Jesuit order's recognition anniversary, September 27th, and never woke up again. A lot of speculation that he was killed with arsenic. He was the 33-day Pope, and his pledge when he became Pope is he was going to get the mafia out of the Vatican Bank. That was his first pledge, and then he dies after 33 days. Mafia 33. All right, for one more, Al Pacino in the headlines. Story broke October 5th that he had nearly died from the cooties. And again, that was 163 days after his birthday, the 38th prime, where death is 38. The article calls him the Godfather, or, he was in the Godfather series. Obviously, Marlon Brando was the Godfather, but what was his character in Godfather? Michael? Godfather's 84, like his age right now. And remember, you throw a the in front of it. The Godfather's 117. Don't forget, Francis Ford Coppola's wife died at 87 this year, 117 days after the Pope's 87th birthday. But yeah, anyway, sweet lady asked me to do a favor. It's pronto, so when Sweet Lady comes to calling, got to take care of business. But thank you again to everyone who hit the like and the share. Project Cirrus, I'm going to have to look it up. Paula. First attempt to modify a hurricane through cloud seeding. I don't think I knew about this one. 1947. That's even before weather warfare was admitted to. October 13th, 47, huh? All right, I'm gonna do some research on Project Cirrus. I appreciate the generosity and the tip on that because I've been missing that one. Shout out to Logan Thomas. You don't have to do that, Logan. Very welcome. Yeah, October 23rd. Hang on to your butts for the West Coast. That's what I think. Or sometime in Scorpio. Scorpio is when October 23rd begins. If it's not that day, that whole period of Scorpio, which ends November 21st, I just have your valuables protected in a an emergency supply of water and food and first aid and your valuables, just in case. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Thank you again, Dante Reed. Now, Dante Reed, you're your own man. I thought I asked you no more donations until November. Just can't stop you people who are too generous. I appreciate it though, Dante. I do appreciate it. It's just make sure you spent your money on a rainy day supply just in case before you give me another super chat. Got to make sure we take care of all the truth seekers. All right, you guys, we will leave it there for now. And again, thank you to everyone who does hit the like and the share. And if you're new here, try staying subscribed. It's a challenging thing to do. People get unsubscribed all the time. It's how they keep these numbers so low. It used to be a banging channel. Well, it was 20-some channels ago that we were a banging channel, but just all the channel deletions and all the new algorithm tactics, people's likes, comments, subs, they all disappear. Like homes after weather warfare. So anyway. And you know what? I just want to say one more thing too. I'm all for being a spiritually sound person and praying, and I essentially think at the end of the day, prayer is focused energy, and focused energy does have a real impact. But I also don't think it's enough. I mean, I just hear so many people saying that all we can do is pray, and again, we need more than prayers, you guys. We need knowledge and information out there, and we need an informed populace. That's the real problem at this day and age. We do not have an informed populace. We have a very ignorant populace. And that's what the internet should be changing, but there is still time. It's just the time is now. All right, I'm out of here. Until next time.